Morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, folks? JT here with another Chart Talk Live. It is Thursday, January the 29th. Already 1 month in the books for 2026. Seems like it just flew by. What's up, Thug Baby Yoda? I'm gonna need to borrow that GIF because how do I explain this? One of my wife's like favorite attention seeking things to do is for her to just be kind of like sort of dancing just like that somewhere in the periphery. I've always said you look like a little kid like jamming out. Anyway, let's get to it. All right, let me get my screen sharing going here. Oh, I've already copied it, bro. I'm not waiting. Thank you, though. Thank you. What's up, LB? How are you? What's up, new trader? Good to see y'all. Hope you're doing well. All right, let's dig in. Let's get to it. Excuse me. I got a little water in there. So, what are we seeing here in the markets? What should we be planning for? How should we be prepared to handle the day ahead? Uh, from an ES perspective, obviously, we had FOMC yesterday. There was really little to no surprises in that whatsoever, which is why I think we saw a more muted reaction than usual. I mean, interest rates stayed steady. Jerome Powell kind of uh, split the oceans, the seas, and avoided anything that kind of would drag him into essentially a political discussion. So again, no surprises about any of that. That all pretty much went exactly as we would have expected. From a chart technical analysis standpoint, we did put in a supply zone here on the 4-hour chart earlier this month. We seem to still be struggling with getting truly above that and breaking through it. We've seen some sweeps above, but nothing really showing that this supply zone is going to give way or has given way yet. If and when that does, I think that opens up more room to the upside and probably a push toward this 70, 79, 70, 82 area where we have a couple of fib extensions both sitting up there together. Um, I'd say ultimately what we'd be looking for a good confirmed breakup would be that 70, 36, 75. If you wanted to, you could even say 70, 44, 75. We did get a little bit of a close touch there before it pulled back. I mean, ultimately, the momentum's bullish. SMAs are still bullish. Long signal, bullish flag. I mean, everything's showing bullish except for this supply zone. And this supply zone looks pretty sticky from what we're seeing so far. That being said, we are playing in the range and not rejecting it. So the longer we consolidate in this range, I think the sooner we would see sellers start to give up defending this area and letting things move further to the upside. So anyway, long story short, market's looking good, but in a precarious spot is probably the best way to say it. So be prepared. Watch for any kind of big rejections. I'd say if we lose 69.94 with a good confirmation that we've lost that as support, probably see a pullback a bit lower. I would say, yeah, I'd expect probably at least down to that 69.51 area, potentially down to the 200 SMA for the next real indicator support. So anyway, just some things to watch. Again, I think we're in a range that looks a bit choppy to me because everything on the chart saying bullish, but we are in a pretty heavy looking supply zone and the market's kind of just listing sideways inside of it, which that can happen as things consolidate before it decides to pick a direction in this range. I would not be surprised by that. So keep that all in mind as you decide what tickers you want to go after, what trade setups you want to go after. Again, I'd be kind of keeping things small because we could see a big move either way in the not too distant future. So let's get to some trade plan recaps and then we'll work on some new ticker requests this morning. I see Cop X from LB. I saw S-Bucks from New Traders. So we'll take a look at those. Silver and Apple. Okay, we can try to take a look at as many of these as we possibly can. All right, so team trade plan. We did this one Tuesday of this week. High of the week was right there at or I shouldn't say high of the week, that high after we put this plan in place. That's probably the better way to say it. Right up against that call stop loss average down. It's since rejected that and heading down toward PT1 for puts, very close to being there already. So keep that on watch. I would say go ahead if you're following this trade plan, although looks like the real confirmed break didn't come till after hours, extended hours. I'm clearly not personally in team, but yeah, it's already down to PT1 here on the 2-hour chart, and running into some buy pressure down here. So if anything, I'd kind of be watching this for a potential bounce today. Sorry, I'm just looking at this. Could try to play that bounce as close as possible to 127.89. I think that could give us a bounce back up to 134.94 if it does hold, and then set your stops down there at 123.80. That's a pretty good risk reward setup, and I think jives with most of what I'm seeing on the chart here. So team, again, playing out toward the downside of our plan, running into some potential areas of support that could bounce it. But ultimately, this one has not been actionable because of unless you shorted shares, because the breakdown took place during the extended trading hour session. So let's get to Moderna. This one does look like it wants to bounce. Pulled back right into that NTS buy pressure here on the 2-hour, put PT1. It's bounced off that after giving us the breakdown the day before yesterday, and then ultimately hitting PT1 with a little bit of a sweep below there. That sweep again could be indicative of a potential bounce back up to the upside also. So seeing some signs that Moderna might want to make a push off of this 44.32 level. But so far, plans played out very nicely. Nice rejection off that call entry took us all the way down to PT1 for puts. And again, now we have a nice confluence, some good buying pressure here on NTS. Just needs to get this momentum going back to the upside. But as long as 44.32 is holding, I kind of like Moderna for a buy the dip with a stop loss. Yeah, I'd put the stop loss at 42.50, and I'd be looking for an upside price target at least up to 48.32, if not potentially back to the call entry there at 50.02. So just some things to think about on this Moderna trade plan as it plays out. Amazon, big move down yesterday. Kind of dropped really hard and very rapidly, and then bounced right off call PT1. That took us all the way back up over PT3. Still kind of making lower highs, but also making some higher lows. So some indecision being seen here on this chart. PT1 looks like it's got some good support coming up, especially with the 200 SMA coming up right beneath it there at 238.36. So keep that on watch. Could see a potential double bottom there off that bounce that we saw yesterday, and a push higher off of that 238.36 support. And then last but not least, QCOM is playing out to the downside. We did this one Tuesday of this week. Gave us the break below, back test there. If you didn't like that back test, you got a second opportunity there. Oh wait, no, oh no, we did this last Thursday. Sorry, my bad. Last Thursday's, I don't know why I said Tuesday. I guess I saw that. It was like Tuesday. My bad. Last Thursday's live stream. This one has played out to the downside. Again, we were just talking about this. If you didn't like that back test opportunity, here was your second back test opportunity. It's now down to PT2, almost back testing PT1 as resistance and rejecting. So QCOM looking pretty bearish right now. Also to note, 200 crossing below the 333. That is a bearish crossover. Bearish NTS flag, bearish momentum, short signal back there. on the 9th. That's just absolutely melted it down ever since then. Definitely great confirmation once you got that short signal. Then you get the break below the flag, momentum's pointing down, back test to the 333 SMA, and it just absolutely melted from there. So, um, anyway, that is our trade plan recaps. Those are our trade plan recaps. Let's get it grammatically correct. What's going on with folks today, man? People are slow getting into the chat. Let's put something out, send up the bat signal. All right. Let's see if that doesn't get some people in here paying attention. Nobody wants to learn anything. Everybody wants it to just be given to them via alerts. I'm more of a teach this community to fish approach personally. All right, so let's go. We've got some trade plans to work on. We had S-Bucks was the first one dropped in here. Why did I open that layout? That was silly. All right, let's take a look at Starbucks. Figure out, golly, man. Figure out how we want to skin this cat. Apologies to any cat lovers. All right. Just reported earnings yesterday, pre-market. That sent it way up and then right back down. Big theta burner, it looks like. Let's this chart real quick. The good news is I've already got a bunch of levels on here, so that should make getting this plan knocked out a little bit quicker. Cleaning this up. It's been a while since I've looked at the Starbucks chart because I got all kinds of things on here that I haven't used in a while. All right, let's get this going. Quick reset there. All right, we are nice push this morning pre-market, but right up into this weekly resistance. Kind of saw some toppy action there previously. Did just get a short signal and a pretty decent looking break of this bullish flag. Although that may have been distorted a little bit by the earnings report move there. That being said, I kind of like it if it can break back over this PM high 9808 level that it's rejecting. Again, weekly support and resistance there, so strong level. Not surprised it's rejecting, but if we get over it, should be strong, acting as support for us as well, which gives us a good entry. Let's see if there's anything that shows us where, yeah, we've seen a lot of rejections and some sweeps there. Yeah, that's definitely a key level there at 9808. Again, it's been a while since I've looked at this chart, but fortunately, and yeah, that's about what I was looking for PT1 based on the current price action. So that jives. Definitely think our PT3 is right there. I'll be interested to see if that's where we rejected on that earnings pump. No, shot a little higher than that. yeah, let's take a shot at this. I like that confluence there, though. NTS coming down, pointing out that level right on time. So PT2, I'd scale out heavy with that confluence sitting right there, assuming we do get the break over the call entry. And stop loss average right here. All right, so where does the downside get interesting? Yeah, right there, 94.02. Below 94.02. Zoom into some of this right here. Low 94.02. Yeah. A little bit torn on where this first price target should sit. Yeah, right here, actually. I'll make a small adjustment to this level. So do that so it sticks out a little bit more. So entry PT1. Stop loss is the other big question here. I think that's sitting right about. Give it that little bit more. Yeah. Let's give it just a little bit more room to work out. Takes it up to that daily resistance at 95.52. Additional downside targets. Definitely would want one there at 90.57. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a shot at it, taking it all the way down to 89.10. There. All right. So let's get this map out. So we'll break it over 98.08. Whoops, that's not 102. Oh, man. Dude. Yeah. 02, that takes down to 91.68. 7.89.10. Stop loss average down at 95.52. All right. That looks pretty solid. Yeah, that's even easier to see. All right, let's drop this in the chat. Here comes your Starbucks live stream plan. Set our alerts. Oh, what's this going to take us to Wednesday? Close of business. All right, so let's talk through this one last time. What are we looking for here on Starbucks? We're looking for a break over 98.08. That should bring price targets at 99.94, 102.89, and 104.78 with a stop loss average down at 96.52. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 94.02. That should bring price targets at 91.68, 90.57, 89.10 with a stop loss average down at 95.52. That is your Starbucks live stream plan. Let's go. All right. What do we have next? We've got Starbucks, CopX. Yeah, Copper's kind of getting some attention here. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot. Save the template so we could circle back to this. There we go. Oof, big gap up. This might be a tricky one. Let's take a look. That's interesting. Make myself a note about that. Probably flag should have held. See if I can do any calculation adjustments to get that out of there. Yeah, I was in in a bit of a bullish pennant pattern there. Ultimately broke it out. So the real big question here is, can we get a good set of fib extensions on this? You know what? Maybe we can. Let's take a look at this. All right. So let's see how this lines up. If this doesn't line up right, I'd be hesitant to put together a plan on this because it hasn't really shown us a pullback. I think the bigger picture trend does line up pretty decently. So we're getting a sweep above, whoops, 0.786 there, right at 98.71 or 98.86. It's not really finding that support. You know what? There's one more way to take a look at this. I don't think it's going to make a massive difference, but let's check. Kind of running off this first test. But yeah, I didn't think that was going to really move the needle all that much. Yeah, it doesn't really at all. I think so. Same distance, just a slightly different trajectory. So this is really kind of, I mean, I'm assuming, yeah, copper's never been anywhere close to these levels. So this is kind of best guesswork up here. But if you want my best guess, all things considered, higher low, equal low, higher low. That's really the last new low before that move up. Take one more look at this. The only problem I have with this approach is we haven't really retested the trend to establish where these extensions should be. I just want to take a look at how this lines up though. Yeah, it doesn't really. I didn't think so. I thought that seemed a bit off. I just wanted to check. All right. I didn't like where that was at or anything that it was really showing. So, again, best guesses here. I would put a little bit more room below this extension right there. Downside. Well, could play this. This is going to be interesting. $95, $62, $96, $76. All right. That'll put us in this gap back to the downside. Shot at that in a decent level. Again, this is best guesswork on this one. So take it for what it's worth. Stop loss average. I mean, I just can't really rationalize having a different stop loss. It's a bit tight. For that downside trade plan, but if we're trying to play this to the downside, we are really fighting against gravity, essentially. Gravity, in this case, moving things to the upside. So, all right, cool. Let's take a shot at this, see how it plays out. Again, I would say keep things very, very small if you decide to pursue this plan at all, as we are in price discovery. Personally, my analysis and trade plans are always best with established levels, but we don't always have those to work with. So sometimes we gotta make it work in other ways. So we're going to keep that stop very tight on this downside plan because I think that's appropriate. All right. Go. All right. Take a shot at this. Here comes your copper live stream plan. I appreciate it, LB. I do. for this trade plan. And set our alerts. Go. Yeah, I knew that was going to do that. All right, so what are we looking for here on CopX, aka Copper? We're looking for a break above 98.84. That should take us to price targets at 101.25, 104.28, and 108.16, with a stop loss average down at 96.76 to the downside. We're going to play this with a very tight stop. We're looking for that break below 95.62 for a potential gap fill back down to 92.77, and then on potentially to 90.04 and 87.25. The shared stop loss average down again, very tight stop loss on this downside plan. They're at 96.76. All right, let's get back over to the chat. I did see one of our newer members. How much time? Gosh, I would say at least 90 days. All right, so Turtle Trader, where did he bounce out of here? Oh man, I was gonna help him out, and he pieced out. I know he's a newer member. I think he's based on some of the stuff that I've seen him post in the chats, I feel like he's in need of some guidance and a helping hand, but he was impatient and left. So, golly. We're gonna move on to something for somebody that's still here. Boy, Ryan in the mix. SLV and Apple. Let's take a look at Apple. We just did a metals chart. Let's take a look at good old Apple. Apple actually has some upside room. It's another chart that I'm a little bit. I don't trade Apple a lot. Don't ask me why. I mean, I have traded it, but for some reason I don't find myself trading it a lot. I guess I'm so focused on SPY and SPX for the most part. Where's that trend line? Oh, okay, right there. All right, cool. All right, let's take a look at this. I have a feeling this chart's going to need some adjusting. This is interesting. See if it lines up the way I think it will. Not quite, but not bad either. I don't think this trend's all that relevant anymore. All right, 200 SMAs right there. We just rejected shy of that level. Did act as clean support on the way down. This was a trend-based fib extension at some point. Like this potential move. And then on up to here. A little torn on this third price target. Could be 270.97 or 271.93. You all who have been watching these for long enough know that I'm torn between two potential targets. I'm always going to err on the side of caution, go one level. I'm going to go with the closer of the two levels. Now the question is where. Let's take a look at this. I was eyeballing this 260.01 as the stop. Could we give it a little bit more room? Let's see. I want to see how this lines up on this recent price action. All right. You know what? I'm going to go with the closer stop on this. Whoops. That's right where I wanted it. I don't know why I changed that. It'll give us a little bit better risk reward on that setup. This level, yeah, it's probably a little bit lower. So the reason why I want to wait, I'll explain this real quick for this 269, or sorry, 262.19 level to clear out is because we've got that trend overhead, we've got the 200 SMA. Obviously, we've got a bit of resistance all in this range, but pretty clearly, we get over 262.19, that puts us over all these rejections, over the trend, over the 200 SMA, and then probably on up through some of these price targets. So that's why it may seem like we're waiting a bit, but there's just too many opportunities to reject until we get over 262.19. There's just too much in the way for me to be excited about upside on Apple below 262.19. So, quick explanation on why I'm looking at that as the entry level. All right, so downside. It's an interesting little sweep and dip there. Ultimately pushed it to the upside. Momentum stayed with it. Be interested to see if this wasn't just a one-off bear trap right there. Yeah, I could make a case. Let's see what that looks like. Move that down just a little bit. Still sweeping just below. We've got that gap there. Yeah. Let's move it down just a little bit more. Sorry, talking to myself out loud here. It's fine. I'll take my crazy pills, my meds. But you know what I meant. Or not. Not any meds for talking to myself, at least. Stop loss there, PT1 there, PT2 here. Nice NTS confluence at that level, 248.65. Keep that on watch for potential bounce on the next pullback for Apple. And then down to 244.94. Okay, cool. Let's lock this in. We got 3 trade plans knocked out today. It's always a good day when we get that. Good. Let's clean this up. All right. Looks good enough. Here we go. Comes your Apple. Come on, man. Fingers aren't working too good this morning. Of course, Ryan. Happy to help. All right, let's get over to. Actually, I've already got that right here. Cool. Let's set our alerts, or save our template right first. This is Thursday live stream plan 3. Let's set our alerts. All right, so let's talk through this one last time. What are we looking for here on Apple? We're looking for it to break over 262.19 to open up room to the upside with targets at 265.47, 267.88, and 270.93 with a stop loss average down at 260.01. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 255.23. That should give us targets at 251.52, 248.65, and 244.94 with a stop loss average down at 258.12. When you're looking for confirmation before making a put or call trade, 5, 10 minutes. So I like to use the 5-minute candles. Let me take that back. I like to use a mix of the 5 and the 15. 5-minute, again, I'm looking for even like quick little break below, quick back test, things start to move in the right direction. That's what I'm looking for. But it's always good to maybe just double check that on the 15-minute, see if we're still like at the early stages of a 15-minute candle, and if it's just possibly sweeping on the 15-minute. You can definitely get better confirmation on the 15-minute, but that can also kind of keep you from getting ideal entries as well. So it's kind of I wish it was easier to explain. I will try to note like some really good examples of good confirmed entries and not confirmed entries. And once I've got enough of those kind of noted as I'm taking or not taking trades, I'll take those and I'll put together like a video of like, okay, here's an example of using the 5 and the 15 for what I like for a good confirmation, and then here's an example of using the 5 and the 15 for something that looks like we're getting confirmation, but it's not really confirmed. So I'll have to remember to make notes of like when I see those really good examples. So I've got a list of things that I can go back to and use the replay feature to kind of show how it plays out. So yeah, I'll try to do something like that. But yeah, so time frames though, 5 and the 15 is really what I'm looking at. That video for confirmed breaks that I post with the daily spy plan every day is a bit dated. I think I've probably also improved what I personally look for confirmation since I did that. So I do need to get that done. I know I've probably said that at least 6 times in the last 12 months and have yet to find the time or take the time to do it. Really take the time. It's the bigger scenario there. So yeah, I'll try to get something like that together, but hopefully that gives you a decent idea of what I'm talking about. All right, we're about 15 minutes out from market open, or a little less than, so I do need to go get to work on the daily spy plan. I want to thank you all so much for joining me this morning. I do appreciate it. We will be back next Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So in the meantime, I will see you all in the chats. And remember, as we always say here on Chart Talk Live, to plan your trades, trade your plans. Remember, we're looking for profits, not perfection. So keep those wins big, keep your losses small. Go out there, get some green. I will see you all in the chats, and I will see you back here next Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Until then, take care. Have a fantastic day. You are very welcome. Thanks for the thanks. All right, take care, everybody. Have a great day.